I was having drinks with my friend Yomi Adegoke, co-author of Slaying Your Lane, and she said that people always ask her, "Oh, is there going to be a male version of Slaying Your Lane?" And then we were just talking, and she was like, "Oh, Derek, you should do a book like it, not exactly the same, but." And I was kind of just like, not can't be bothered, but she was just like, "No, you're the guy to do it because you're always talking about getting young black boys reading, so on and so forth." So eventually, I just kind of was like, "Yeah, fine, all right, let's do it." Like, I took on the idea. I didn't think anything was going to come of it, but then the next day she was like, "This is an agent. Go talk to this agent." Then the next day she was like, "Okay, go and do this, go and do this." And then eventually, we just started planning for the book, and then and that was that. And so Safe is essentially just, the conversation about diversity that's happening over at the moment. Is very focused on black women, rightly so. But she was just kind of like, if we're serious about this diversity conversation, all voices need to be included, including black men. So this is our attempt to jump into the conversation, I guess. So every conversation I had, I just said, want the conversation, that essay to be as nuanced as possible. I want you to look for something that you haven't read about somewhere else, or something you're scared to talk about, and just talk about it. Because I was conscious that this could potentially turn into a book on masculinity only.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or a book on fatherhood. And I just thought those conversations have been had for a long time. There are bits to add to it, but there's other things that we just ignore talking about, that we need to talk about.
I think the masculinity debate's kind of expired. Not expired, but it's like been kind of beaten.
Yeah.
Beaten to a pulp at the minute. It's just continually being talked about. So I feel like that's what's so great about this book. There's so many different things like that you've put, that the black British man experiences that just haven't really been spoken about, and that people kind of trivialise as well.
Yeah, I meant a couple of things. So essentially in this country, and in America as well, stories about black men are told by people who are not black men a lot of the time. They have been, but there's not a lot. So a lot of the information that we get about black men comes from racist stereotypes, racist media, movies, and things like that. It's very two-dimensional, one-dimensional thing. So I was kind of like reclaiming space in a sense that reclaiming an area where we can talk about ourselves in a way that makes us three-dimensional, makes us whole humans. Because that kind of space has been taken from us. I mean, there was a time where we could talk about everything, but now, as things have progressed, we shy away from talking about particular things, or it's kind of like, oh, we don't want to air our dirty laundry sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? So it's just taking back safe spaces to speak about anything and have honest discussions and things like that. It's interesting actually because, Waterstones, Piccadilly used to have like a black writing section, and I used to go there and look at it and kind of be like, why is there a black writing section? So now they've kind of put all of the books, in general fiction. And I remember coming downstairs and I was like, oh, where's the black writing section gone? They were like, oh, it's just spread out now. And I was kind of pissed off because I was like, how am I going to find them? Do you know what I mean? So it's like, you always, you wish for something, and then when you get it, it's kind of like
make too much noise.
Yeah, exactly.
The practicalities of it in the end.
But no, definitely, I think it's a work in progress. I think Waterstones, I do find a lot of books in here that I was unaware of before and stuff like that. Of course, there needs to be more, but that's obviously not just Waterstones' jobs. It's the job of publishers and agents and all of that kind of thing.
Also, I feel like reclaiming space is just giving the platform to more black British male writers.
Absolutely,
because there's so many amazing writers in there who, like, you kind of knew they wrote, but then to actually have them in there now, it's a bit like they are actually acclaimed as writers in their own right. And it's like once it gets into a book and it starts to be in the hands of everybody else, that's when you can say, oh, we're kind of like taking up the space that we say that we want to. Right? Yeah.
It feels different. Like you could be a writer and write essays or whatever for online publications, but when it gets into a book, it just feels a bit different. I think that's obviously the way we, deify literature and books and stuff like that. But it feels different.
Yeah, once it's there. I personally had no problem with the black writing section. I thought that it was just a very nice, easy reference for me to get to. Just
now that I think about it, you're right. You're
Waterstones,
absolutely right. Yeah. This book, of course, is important for black men to read and have their experiences reflected back to them, and they all say to themselves, okay, it is okay to talk about these kind of things. Now start conversations among them, but it's also definitely for like white liberals to read. And I always say white liberals because they feel like they're on the right side of history. They often feel like there's not anything left for them to learn, but there definitely are. You know, I mean, there's definitely, you know, if you're brought up in a racist society, of course, even though you've tried to unlearn a lot of things, there's still going to be little things that, you know. So that's why I start the introduction with, you know, a journey on a train. You know, you might be a white liberal, but then when a black man sits next to you, do you know, tap your pockets and that kind of thing unconsciously because you're thinking, oh, they might do something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's important. So this book is for absolutely everybody.